and welcome to the mains PYQ discussion by Neva AS. The theme for today's video is geographical factors. Now, this theme will become relevant once you know the question because this was an unconventional question in 2023 mains exam. It's a 10 marker. It goes like this. Explain the role of geographical factors towards the development of ancient India. So usually from ancient India and medieval India, we have questions related to art and culture alone in mains. And historical question starts from the modern period alone. But here you have a question about geographical factors. Earlier there was a question about the relevance of Panipat as a strategic war location. Now we have a similar question in 2023. Now how do we structure this question? First, we will start by talking about what are geographical factors in the first place. It includes rivers, deserts, the nature of soil, natural barriers like mountains, coast, etc. We'll talk about that and then we'll give a key statement, which is ancient India is a phase where nature had more control over civilizations. Medieval India or modern India for that matter is a phase where humans had more control over nature with technology. But ancient period it is different. We are more dependent on natural factors and that's why geographical factors are crucial in developing the time period. So we'll set the introduction in that context and we'll give a map. This is a scope for a map here. We'll give the map of India and mark the relevance of the regions. For example, we'll mark the Himalayan here. We'll mark the coastal regions in the downside. We'll mark the desert in the northwest region. We'll mark the rivers, the major rivers, Ganges, Indus, Brahmaputra, and the peninsular rivers as well, Narmada, Tapti, and all the other rivers. So we'll mark all these key features here, and then we'll go to the body part. The body part here, we have structured it in the chronological lines. So chronologically, we'll go along with the expansion of civilizations, and we'll explain each factors accordingly. That's a unique structure we have devised. The first part, the first point here is agrarian expansion. So if you take the map of India, for example, I'll draw a new map. If you draw the map of India here, pardon me for the map here, I'm just drawing a skeleton here. If you draw the map of here, this is where you can see agriculture started. Mehergarh is located here. Agriculture started somewhere around here. It's in modern day Pakistan. Then you have the Indus Valley civilization around this region, along the valley of Indus. Then in the Iron Age period, Indus Valley civilizations from the Bronze Age. In the Iron Age period, you have civilizations in the Indo-Gangetic plain in this region. So civilization evolves in a chronological factor as per various mediums. So we'll go in that line itself. And first we will talk about agrarian expansion in the regions like Mehergarh. So what was important there? The nature of soil, the plains and the climate. So those two geographical factors will be brought in that first point. Second is the rise of civilizations. There will bring the role of rivers because all the major civilizations are along the banks of rivers. For example, Indus Valley civilization, Ganges, the Indo-Gangetic plain, the Vedic civilization, because Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, everything is mentioned in the Vedas. Or for example, we'll take Madurai as well on the banks of Vaigai river. We'll give three examples, three value additions, and we'll make this point of civilization and rivers. Here we will talk about climate, soil, and agriculture. And the third would be defense, strategic defense and dynasties. And the example would be the Magadha region. We'll give the Magadha region, which is located around here. And for them, what was important was the natural defense, the fortress, the forest around them, because it is around the forest in the regions that they collected elephants and wood for the dynasty. So these geographical factors helped them. And they had Ganges, and through the Ganges, they transported their army and resources. The fourth is specifically on resources. There again, we'll invoke the Magadha civilization, the Magadha empire, because it is around the Chota Nagpur plateau here. We have a lot of resources, the Gondwana plateau, coal and iron, and these resources were used for the construction of this dynasty as well. And we can take the case of Gnaneshwar as well, where there was abundance of copper, and we can link it with Indus Valley civilization, who had techniques like the lost wax technique and bronze sculptures using this. So we can have two value additions under the same point of resources. The next is about art and culture. Because this is about ancient India, we can bring art and culture also. There, let's take the case of the resources that has enabled various sculptures and architecture. For example, marble, soapstone, sandstone, etc. Let's take the case of the bust of the bearded man in Mohenjo-daro. That had soapstone there. Or let's take the case of the Ashokan pillars made of sandstone. Or let's take the case of the rock cut caves like Ajanta or Ellora. So for them, such geographical terrains were important. Let's take the case of the Buddhist architecture like the Viharas. So Viharas were rock cut structures only, or the Chaityas, they were also rock cut structures. Or let's take the case of rock cut temples like the Kailasa temple in Ellora, or structural temples like the Shore temple. So for all these things in ancient India, geography mattered. So I have mentioned a lot of examples here. You don't have to mention all of them. Two will be enough. And finally, culture. So the relevance of geography can be imbibed or can be drawn out from their culture. For example, let's take the case of the Pashupati cult in the Indus Valley period. So Pashupati is represented in a seal and surrounded by animals like bull, lion. That shows the relevance of nature in their worship and day-to-day life. Or for example, take the case of Ganga. In Mahabharata, Ganga is the mother of Bhishma. So that's the myth, and the geography got integrated with the myth there. So that's the relevance that geography had in the ancient period. We have a six-fold structure in a chronological manner to prove that point. For a 10 marker, that would be enough. And we'll conclude this answer by invoking the idea of total history. History cannot be understood in terms of dynasties or literature or historiography for that matter. It has to be understood in a holistic sense where everything, including geography, climate, environment, becomes a crucial factor. We'll conclude with such a conclusion by putting the question in its context again. We'll come back with yet another question. Thank you for listening.